I'm Rahcael, I'm 27 and I was born with a congenital heart defect called tricuspid atresia.
Hi, my name's Emily Joel. I am 26 years old and in 2019 I was diagnosed with stage 1A ovarian cancer when I was 22 years old.
My name is Hoda Hannaway. I'm 39 years old and I was diagnosed with endometriosis 21 years ago.
My name's Samantha Nuttall. I'm 47 and I'm diagnosed with ADHD and dyscalculia.
I'm Jade May. I'm 38 years old and I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease at 13 years old.
So I was born with tricuspid atresia, which is essentially when your heart is forming in the womb, your tricuspid valve doesn't fully form, which means that when I was born, beautiful baby girl, they cut the placenta and I went blue because there was no ability to get oxygen to the rest of my body through my heart. I was operated on only at 24 hours old. And the thing with a lot of congenital heart defects is that they're incurable.
It's been a very long journey. Back when I was about 18 years old, I had had enough of the immense period pain that I was in. I did my own research on both endometriosis and polycystic ovaries, and then I emailed my then gynecologist with my research, and he told me it sounded like endometriosis given all my symptoms. And so following week, it was confirmed I had stage 4 endometriosis.
When I was about 21, I went to the doctor after I had some really weird sort of period symptoms, and they sent me for a routine scan that found a big abnormal cyst on my right ovary, but they told me that that was completely normal and that it was just part of being a woman. And so time went on, and over the next few months I started to get sicker and sicker, and the pelvic pain that I was experiencing continued to get worse. And so then I was misdiagnosed with PCOS, even though the scans that I was having didn't indicate any symptoms of PCOS. I was getting ultrasounds every couple of weeks. I was getting blood tests every week to try to figure out what was wrong with me. And still my doctor was like, no, it's normal, it's normal, it's normal, but just in case we'll check. I got emergency surgery on the cyst that had been on my ovary the whole time, and after the surgery we found out that it was stage 1A ovarian cancer.
I presented with ADHD symptoms from being really little, and all the signs were there all the way through school. I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression in my teens and had treatment for that all the way through up until I was diagnosed with ADHD. And that's a really common challenge that ADHD women have, is that they're often diagnosed with other comorbid conditions rather than the neurodiversity that they're actually struggling with. In terms of my experience, I was diagnosed when I had children, and that was when my symptoms got the most extreme, which is also another common thing because of estrogen drop-off combined with more responsibilities when you have children. So when my own children were diagnosed quite young, under the age of 5, I then, I guess, knew what was going on with myself to be able to walk myself to the doctor and say, hey, I think I've got ADHD too, and finally have someone take me seriously and send me for diagnosis.
So I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease at 13 years of age, and some of the symptoms that myself has suffered from on a daily basis, as well as other Crohn's sufferers, severe abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, fatigue, malabsorption. I mean, there are so many symptoms that go with it. I've also been diagnosed with skin cancer, and that's all a result of associated with Crohn's disease with taking immunosuppressant medications. So there's a whole host of symptoms and interconnected illnesses and diseases that relate to Crohn's disease.
There have been moments, like my entire life, where people have dismissed who I am in terms of my health condition. And I think I learnt pretty early on that this was something that was never going to change. This was something that I didn't have any control over, and I could be upset about it, or I could know that it was part of who I am, and I have to show up for that part of who I am as I would any other part of myself.
The fact that I had to keep sort of justifying my pain, whether it be to my family or even to the doctors, it just made me feel so like I was making it up, I get that you might experience some pain, but not to the point where I felt my insides were ripping apart.
I don't think it should take a cancer diagnosis for women's pain to be taken seriously. I think had I been acknowledged or believed even in the first instance, I might not have gotten as sick as I did. We might have been able to catch it, even earlier. I was 21 years old and I could barely get out of bed by the end of it because I was so unwell. And, if I'd been listened to and believed, it didn't have to get that bad.
I had quite severe postnatal depression, was receiving treatment from psychologists for that. And again, despite describing symptoms that were completely ADHD symptoms, I was told that I had a type A personality and was just too used to working in a corporate role. And that was why I wasn't coping with the challenges of motherhood. So I think understanding one's identity, being able to know why one is different and why you think differently, why you behave differently to other people, and knowing that it isn't actually that you're not trying hard enough, that you're not good enough, that there's value in those differences. I think that would have made a huge amount of difference to me.
If I had seen or had the support of or heard the story of someone else who had a similar story to my own, it would have made the world of difference. I mean, not only to my mental health, but my own perception of my body image, to know that there were other women out there with scars and colostomy bags, that I wasn't on my own.
Healthcare is a human right, irrelevant of your gender. It is a human right to have accessible, safe healthcare. And that includes holistic care. It includes the acknowledgement of the mental impacts that it takes to advocate for yourself and navigate. Everything that we have got now has built off the back of advocates that have worked in this space for so long and women that have fought for us for so long, from so many different communities, from so many different backgrounds. And we've just got to keep fighting.
Being in pain is not an inherent part of being a woman. And so the more we have these conversations, the more we can inform each other about what is and isn't normal, and we can break through the taboo and get rid of all the stigma that surrounds women's reproductive health, and then hopefully achieve better outcomes for women, and so that nobody else has to be dismissed in the way that I was or that anybody else has been.
I think it's important to keep women's health sort of front and centre of many discussions. I think over the years it's been so taboo to ever discuss anything to do. Even the word period was taboo to say. So I think in this day and age it is so important to keep on talking, to keep raising awareness. It will become so much easier for generations to come to be able to speak up about what's going on for them.
It's so important to amplify these stories and to get all a variety of diverse voices out there. People need to be able to take note of what we're saying and to be able to help other people who are in similar situations so they don't feel alone, that there is someone else out there that is going through the same thing as them. And that's really, really important.
The conversation is mounting, pressure is rising, but when it comes to you in the doctor's chair, you know your body best and fight for it.